Welcome into Cornhusker Connection. The fellas are here as always. Brandon Shanahan, Professor Sprinkle, and Brooke Byrne in the house. How's it going, fellas? What a weekend!
What a weekend!
What a weekend!
What a weekend! It's funny. On Sunday mornings, I do like a little hangover show, and like on Sunday, I don't drink anymore, but it felt like just the pure hangover that any type of college football game could give you. What a disaster!
It's
Definitely
not
wasn't
good.
fun. Yeah.
Well, just kind of jumping right into it. They lose to Maryland, another tight one that I felt like was just hanging at the balance. Maryland took over late, got the job done. We couldn't. But let me ask you this: is this the worst quarterback room that you've ever seen in college football ever?
Maybe not the worst ever, but definitely the worst in Nebraska in a long, long time.
Yeah.
The only one I can think of that was maybe worse than this was early 2000s Joe Daly when we got curb stomped by like 60 by Kansas. But this is up there.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's a long time ago. And we're not known for having good quarterbacks either.
No, and this is the worst quarterback room probably we've ever had.
Like, I guess it makes sense when you have to go to three different quarterbacks. They're supposed to at least get worse in succession. So I guess that part's not very surprising, but it feels like every one of them gives us just enough hope to be like, all right, we're getting somewhere, and then just find a way to rip our hearts out at the most inopportune time.
I don't know what's going on with early in the season I did talk a lot about Satterfield, which I still don't think he calls great plays in some situations, but this is bigger than Satterfield, unfortunately. This is like a pandemic that's running through our quarterback room, and I don't really know how you fix it. I really don't.
I have a little theory that while our quarterback room isn't very talented, like we had thought going into the year, the pick that Chubba Purdy threw late in the game, if you roll a clip with that pick side by side with the Jeff Sims pick of when he threw the one he threw against Minnesota at the end of the first half, I think that's the exact same play. And both of them ended up with picks.
Wow.
Yeah,
so
it's
again,
a bad route combo there.
Again, why are you running that play? I don't understand that play call. It's just such a bad one.
I understand the thought of going out there to win the game in that situation, but the play call itself was just bad. Like, it's a bad route combo. You never want to have two guys that overlap each other in the same area like that. Like, it's because then it gets confusing. Like, oh, is he throwing it to me? Is he throwing it to him? I don't know. I'm just going to let it go through, and then it gets picked. And granted, it wasn't like a great throw. Like, it would have had to take a perfect throw to get it in there. I just don't like that route combo.
And the thing is, you're on your third string quarterback, and you know a field goal probably wins you the game the way your defense is playing. If you want to throw the ball there, it has to be like a fade in the corner, one-on-one, the only result is incomplete or touchdown. But again, I'm here to say, as much as it is the quarterback, it's the fucking coaching too.
Yeah, and I think the play calls are head boggling, and I'm sure some of that's just hindsight, like, oh well, it didn't work out, so it's easier to critique. But there's also something to be said with just the notion that it is ultimately his job to develop these quarterbacks, and so if they're this bad halfway through November, and they're not, in fact, like, not only are they not getting better, I think we've seen Heinrich Haarberg get significantly worse and more reckless, and then Jeff Sims never looked good out of the gate when he had a lot of great moments the last couple of years over in Atlanta. And I think that's the biggest failure of this Satterfield regime. It's just that they're not developing. They're not getting better. They're not making better choices. It seems like, if anything, they're making worse choices as they get more playing time.
You're not wrong. And that falls squarely on the head coach and the OC. How are we this far into November and we can't have a quarterback that just plays good enough for us to win close games? Or not turn the ball over. Just not turn the ball over. That's it.
And as I said a couple weeks ago, I'm done defending Jeff Sims. But as you kind of pointed out, like, he was good in the past years. And he doesn't even look even kind of close to anything that he was the past 2 years. So now you start thinking, like, is it something that Nebraska is doing or not doing that is hindering him? And I don't want to blame the coaches for Jeff Sims because he's been horrendous. But when you see somebody for 2 years be pretty solid at quarterback just to come here and crumble, it makes you think about, like, what else is going on that maybe we're not seeing.
And just as much as that, like, we want to give Rule his flowers for what he did with Tony White in the defense, the offensive side is a big problem. And it does not look good with no end in sight.
Yeah, and it's tough because if I'm gonna sell you on, I mean, I don't even want to do this, but like, if I was gonna sell you on Satterfield, like, well, I know I can't do it. I can't do it. I mean, I feel like I try to find a positive spin for everything. I can't find one. If I'm gonna sell you on it, it's just because of the fact that rooting for 4 offensive coordinators in 4 consecutive seasons feels like a shitty thing. But that's the only reason I can think of to have any belief in him and this offensive staff going forward.
So I have a couple questions on that note. So first question is, I agree, you don't want to fire him. I don't think that that's the right move. But things can't remain the same. So say you strip him of play calling, then what? Like, then does he just leave and we have to find another person? Like, what does that look like if we did that? In your guys'
I don't think you can strip an OC like that of play calling just because I don't know who we would give play calling duties to. Like, this is Satterfield's offense. Like, I don't know anybody that knows it more than him that is qualified to call plays. So if you're going to strip him of play calling duties, you're firing him.
Yeah, and I'm not a huge fan of just jumping to the offense doesn't look good, fire the offensive coordinator. But I do worry because it's pretty clear that we're going to have to go into the portal and get some guys, especially on offense. And, quarterback or not, I feel like that's such a tough sell to go to a kid who's only got 1 or 2 years left in college football and is looking to make that next jump that they haven't been able to for whatever reason that Nebraska should be able to offer. And then to have him look at what this offense looked like schematically and see that's probably not a great place for me, a talented quarterback, to thrive. And that goes for wide receivers as well. Running backs probably might get a kick out of it, but it's just I'm I kind of trust the process. Yeah, I trust Matt Rule. I feel like we've made our bed with him pretty snug. So if he's calling the shots, I feel good about it. If he wants to bring him back, great. If he wants to strip him of play calling, I don't know if there's a good solution there. I feel like that kind of burns the bridge to making it work.
Yeah.
But if that's what he does, then I'm all in. If he wants to just keep things as is, then and Rule out trust. He's got my benefit of the doubt for sure.
Yeah.
Listen, I think we, like the younger generation of fans of Huskers, we just want to see wins so bad that we can get behind just about anything. And I'll absolutely follow Satterfield to the ends of the earth if that's what Rule wants to do. But to sit here and act like everything's fine and there are no warnings of bad things coming would be dumb of us.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen enough college football to know, like, what looks good and what doesn't. And sadly, we look like We always make fun of Iowa for the past, however long decade of having a bad offense. We look worse than them.
Yeah, we do. And I'm not saying that you should give play calling to somebody else. I would just
So,
curious
yeah, you
because
gotta do
that's
something.
normally the progression, right? Like you
Yeah.
start stripping people of play calling, but normally that's like the head coach that calls plays and then he passes it on to somebody else. I was just curious on your thoughts like that because, like Brooke just said, something has to change. Because you can't just keep doing the same shit expecting different results. Like that's not how. Especially when
Insanity.
and when you're balls deep in Big Ten West play, Big Ten play in general. Like these teams are way better than any Northern Illinois team that we can play. So these defenses are so good. And that's probably a lot of it is just going up against better defenses. So it's showing more because this has probably been an issue all year, but they're just exploiting it more. But the other question I had is if we beat Wisconsin at Wisconsin, does it change? Are we kind of back on board again? Or what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm flexible. If I see something different, then I'll absolutely, just start singing his praises. But I think that kind of goes into to what can we do in these last two games. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to I want him to do well, and I want him to earn another year and earn the benefit of the doubt, like I think Coach Rule has. I'd welcome that, but I mean, I wouldn't bet on it.
It's so tough. As much as I want to say the sky is falling, we're an Iowa loss to Illinois and a win Saturday from the Big Ten West coming down to Black Friday in Lincoln, which is crazy.
A good spot to be in for sure.
A lucky spot to be in for us.
Yes, yeah. I don't know if you guys remember, but at the beginning of the year, when we were talking about Jeff Sims and how poor he was doing, I mentioned that I think the offense that Satterfield is trying to run is too complicated for the talent that we have. And I think that's just showing even more. And if he's going to be kind of like what I thought Matt Rule was going to do with Jeff Sims, is he brought him here. That's his guy. He's going to start him no matter what. Turned out not to be true. But it seems like Satterfield is that way with the offense where if you can't get it, I don't give a shit. We're going to run it. And you're going to either figure it out or we're going to be shitty. That's what it feels like to me. And I hate that shit because you're still, at the end of the day, you're still coaching 18 to 22-year-old kids. Make it fucking simple if it has to be. It doesn't, we're not trying to dice up NFL defenses out here.
Brother, whatever you got to do to keep your job, this should be what you're trying to do. Like wins help you keep your job as a offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to me I would have to do a further dive of all the quarterbacks Satterfield has had. But at South Carolina last year, it was Rattler who, if you don't know a ton about Spencer Rattler, he's not a runner unless he has to be, but very cerebral guy who understands offenses and where to go with the ball. Very much a pocket-minded guy. And we bring in Jeff Sims, who is the opposite of that, which maybe Satterfield is not used to, these kinds of quarterbacks and we're learning on the fly, but these are the guys they chose to bring in. So,
yeah. And I think Purdy is definitely that guy, similar to Spencer Rattler, like pass first guy, who has all the talent in the world to do well. It's just figuring out where to throw the ball, I think, has been his big issue.
And I
yes.
think looking back, there's a couple of red flags that Satterfield brought in that I don't know. Maybe I just had my rose-colored glasses and kind of overlooked them. And one of those is I think we all remember that Spencer Rattler going absolutely crazy those last two games of the regular season, including beating up on Clemson pretty bad, where he threw for like 1,000,000 yards. Two things to keep in mind: one, there's a good to fair chance that South Carolina had Clemson's signals.
That's
which
what I
is
was gonna
crazy.
say.
Yeah,
That's
and then
what I was
second of
gonna
all,
say.
and probably more pertinent to the conversation, Satterfield was stripped of his play calling during that game. They had taken the reins from him, and now granted, you get Michigan in there, and now I think it's also a little bit different because Shane Beamer is a little bit more of an offensive minded coach, if I'm not mistaken. So he could probably just take over the play calling and be okay. But yeah, that's a red flag I definitely overlooked. That maybe in hindsight, I'm like maybe that's something to worry about.
And
Yeah, and
I
then
don't know the. Go ahead.
I'm
Sorry.
No, you're good. I was going to switch topics, so you're good.
I just don't understand Rule and Satterfield's relationship too much to where he has this blind faith in him. Where I know Rule's year one is usually pretty bad, but if you have the talent to win the Big Ten West now, not even that, we need to get to a bowl game because with this young of a roster, making a bowl game would give us an extra month at the end of the year to practice, which is huge. And we haven't had that in how long? So with a young team, like that's got to be goal one is to make a bowl game this year. We need it.
Yeah, and that's it. We all came into the season saying, you make a bowl game this year is obviously a success. Nobody was thinking national championship or even Big Ten contention here late down the stretch, but here we are. And that's not all Nebraska. Like obviously there's other things that are going wrong for a lot of other teams. But to be here right now, you definitely need to capitalize on that. Because the Big Ten is only going to get stronger. I mean, obviously you're adding four teams. So I don't even remember, but some great teams. They're adding great teams into the Big Ten, where it's just going to get harder. And they're doing away with divisions, right? So it's just going to be one straight Big Ten, and they're just going to be the top two teams. We might not ever smell that. We might not. I mean, being realistic here. But the thing I'm really kind of been thinking about a lot is Tony White taking off.
If he takes off, we're in trouble.
I mean, they have to restructure his contract after this year because he needs to get paid way more to even make him second think about going somewhere else to be a head coach or something. Because the fact that he's getting paid $400,000 less than Marcus Satterfield is absolutely criminal.
It should be triple what he's making.
Yeah. You should. Hey, we're gonna take this Satterfield. Thank you. We're gonna give that to Tony and then some.
Yes, absolutely.
And then to kind of put a bow. Oh, go ahead.
Like along the lines of Tyler's point, if you don't think some of these bigger programs like USC or the flashier names of Nebraska aren't noticing what Tony White's doing, you guys are crazy. And that have the bucks to pay him what he wants to be paid. If he leaves this year, one, I would not be mad at him. I understand it. And two, like, should have paid the man more right away.
Well, that you mentioned that, and that's the shitty thing is we definitely have the money to pay him, but will we?
Money should never be an issue at this stage of the game.
Oh, also, I just thought of this. This is totally off topic, but fuck you, Brandon. Trev's going nowhere.
Dude, I had that on my notes. I had it on my notes.
They heard Brandon talking. They heard Brandon chirping.
Like, all right, we gotta
lock him down.
Oh shit! Ohio State's hiring here pretty soon. Let's just
oh my god,
clean up our guy. But yeah, through 2033 or no, through 2020 through 2031, and then fat little increase. So yeah. I mean, I'll gladly eat crow. Again, I'll feel more comfortable when Ohio State does hire somebody not named Trev Alberts. But yeah, it's a good catch, Tyler.
Real quick, they are releasing the top 25 right now.
Wow.
You guys want to know the top 10? All right. So Louisville's 10. Missouri's 9.
Whoa. That's great.
Would have thought.
Up 5 spots.
They deserve it, though. Good for them.
Yeah. They've been so surprising this year. I figured that they would be good like they were last year, but this year they're way better, which is fun to see just because it reminds me of the old Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, K-State days where they're all pretty good. Like that was just so fun.
If I was if I had the money Jeff Bezos had, I would drop $3 billion to get the old Big 12 back together.
Dude, let's go. They're taking their sweet ass time, so I'll update you as I see it. But Louisville being at 10 is pretty cool. Oh, Alabama's number 8. Here we go. We're starting to move again.
It doesn't matter what Louisville's at, because even if they do beat Florida State, there's no way they're getting in the fucking playoff.
Yeah,
But it's got to feel good for them, though.
Oh, absolutely.
In
Not
year
taking
one
away
of
from
Jeff
what.
Brom, dude, are you kidding me?
Yeah. No. I'm just saying, strictly playoff talk, it does not matter what they do. They're not getting in.
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But I mean, to be top 10 in year one,
They-
halfway through
over the
November,
moon.
that's insane.
Yeah.
So it's 7 is number 7 is Texas. It looks like
Who
it
are
might
they?
just be the same. So like
I'd
the top
imagine
8
that
might just
the top
stay the same.
6 will be pretty similar to how it's been.
Who did you say 8 was?
Alabama.
Oh.
And they were
So-
8, and then 7 was Texas last week too. Of course, we're not going to talk about the top 6 until after their commercial break or whatever. But
I gotta get into playoff scenarios with you guys and get your thoughts.
you missed
Oh, dude.
an insane show. I made up the biggest doomsday college playoff around about how it should just be 2 Big Ten teams and 2 Pac-12 teams. Let's see them duke it out.
I did see that, and you guys are fucking nuts. Fucking nuts.
Dude,
I would love
weird.
that. I 100% support. No, I don't fucking support that. Hold on. I support the 2 Pac-12 teams. Whoever loses between Ohio State and Michigan can fucking kick rocks for all I give a shit.
I don't know, dude.
Fuck them. No.
So we'll get into this a little later on the other show, but you're telling me that if Florida State beats Louisville by 3, like a last second field goal, you think they're still going to the playoff?
Absolutely. A win's a win's a win.
Yeah, that is such a. And now, granted, I don't really know if you can call this a precedent since this is the last year of the 14 playoff, but it is a scary precedent to be like, you can win a Power 5 conference, go undefeated, and still miss the playoff. And especially as somebody who loves the Big 12 as much as I do, I mean, that can't happen.
There's just
Oregon's number 6.
Ooh, so
Yeah, so I'm thinking the top 6 is just going to be the same.
Yeah, probably just about.
Yeah, we'll get into that later because that was quite the conversation that we were having. I loved every second of it.
Yeah, I do because typically by this point we have a pretty clear picture on how it's going to go, but there's like a very real scenario that there could be 5 conference champions with 1 or less losses.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Um,
We might have to restart. I'm getting like a lot of feedback. Not
Yeah,
restart.
like-
So Georgia, Ohio State, 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Pussies.
I do want to throw this out there, and I sent this to you guys, but I was curious just how like dreadful this quarterback play was, and like when the last time a team had 3 different starting quarterbacks throw an interception, and it happened in 2020 with the Florida State Seminoles, and Chuba Purdy, of course, was on that team.
Is he a cancer?
He might be. But so now, as we kind of look forward to this week, who do you want to see at quarterback?
Purdy. 100.
Yeah, I mean, like we were talking about earlier, he definitely has the best skill set to fit the scheme. So if that's what is going to work, then I just want to fucking win, dude.
I did see that they were splitting reps between him and Sims. How does that make you feel?
I'm okay with that. I mean, I've been saying it, or I have said it before. Do like a 2 quarterback thing. I mean, why not? I don't know.
Here's my thing, though. You take away Purdy's interception, which is kind of, yeah, he shouldn't have made that throw, but it also is a dumb play call on Satterfield. But you wipe that play away. The drive to get him down there was impressive. Using his legs, completed a couple big passes, the long one to Kemp. I think he gets the reads right and just doesn't make mistakes. He's a pretty serviceable quarterback.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
I
one thing that
definitely
I
agree
was
with you.
Yeah. The one thing that I'm kind of hesitant about as far as splitting reps is I feel like Jeff Sims has gotten plenty of this sounds like shit. God damn.
Oregon State's number 11, Penn State's 12, Ole Miss 13, Oklahoma 14, 15 is LSU.
I feel like
they're only
Oklahoma's
keeping.
still too high.
I feel like they're only keeping LSU that high just to make Florida State look better. But
No,
I digress. They're 7-3 and they're number 15.
but
You were
look at
talking
their
about a three.
fucking losses.
Yeah, but you're talking about a 3-loss team, Iowa.
But
Yeah.
Iowa hasn't fucking beaten anybody. Who the
You're
fuck
right.
have they beat?
Well, when LSU does get on the field with good teams, they get blown out. They got cooked by Florida
Yeah, their
State, 31-10
losses-
in the second half. They gave up 800 yards to Ole Miss.
Oh, love how that fucking narrative changes now. That
Yeah,
you're
dude.
trying
I
to
mean,
use
I don't know
it
what to
as
tell you. Jordan
What
Travis
about?
cooked him. I've never said anything other than that this whole time.
You guys were
that
the first
Florida
after
State
that
absolutely
fucking game.
beat
We're
them.
like, oh, it was so close. It was so close. It just got away late. And now it's they fucking donkey.
No,
No. Nobody said
I was
that.
talking.
We were both saying
Yeah, I
that
was.
LSU just stunk.
Oh, okay.
And then that narrative did change.
I did say that.
But now it's
now I'm
back
back.
to being LSU might stink.
All right, but their 3 losses are still the number 4, the number 8, and the number 13 team in the country. And they
You got to
do
win at
have
some point.
LSU
They
has
should
a
be. They should be
road
the highest
win
ranked
over
3-loss team.
Missouri, who
I'll
is
give you that.
9.
Hmm.
They have a
I'll
road
give you
win
that,
over the
yeah.
number 9 team in the country.
Who's the second highest ranked 3-win team? If you have it in front of you.
3-loss.
Yeah.
It's scrolling. I'm not sure. I'll keep an eye out and I'll let you know.
I definitely feel like they should be the highest ranked 3-loss team. I just don't know who all they're in front of to really. Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody who quite has their strength of schedule. There might not be another 3-loss team ranked.
Yeah. I did see, though, that Georgia has the 78th overall strength of schedule.
And Florida
wow.
State's catching
All right.
shit.
Yeah,
We've been saying that.
Right.
I mean, we have been saying that the only reason that they're so high is because of their past performance.
Georgia or Florida State?
Georgia.
Yes. I mean, obviously, impressive win against Ole Miss, but Ole Miss defense fucking sucks. LSU hung 55 on them. That was
Arizona, Tennessee, Notre Dame.
Arizona 3-loss team, but that's
All
because
3-loss teams, 17, 18, 19, respectively.
Okay,
So,
then I have no problem
13's
with
not
LSU
crazy
being
high.
there.
Yeah.
No, it just it seems high because of like you're thinking of like AP poll, so it seems high, but this is obviously not.
Dude, they could possibly sneak in the playoff if it was a 12-team format.
So the crazy thing here to me, they're showing percentages to reach the national or the college football playoff, and Florida State's only sitting at a 65% with their shit remaining schedule, which is kind of surprising. I figured it'd be higher.
Yeah, I figured they would have the clearest path to the playoff, not a coin flip.
Do you want to guess who has 2% higher?
Come back real quick.
Okay. %2 higher than that, which is the number 1 team.
Wait, is that so does Florida State have the second highest percentage?
Correct.
Chance?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I didn't think 65 was a very high number at all. Okay, never mind. I would say
didn't.
Georgia.
No, they are 5th at 52%.
It's got to be Michigan or Ohio State.
It's Michigan.
Ohio. Okay.
Which isn't that crazy. And then I think I can just rewind it. Hold on.
Because I would figure if you're gonna have the best percentage to get in, there's got to be a backdoor option that I don't know if Michigan has. Where Ohio State, as we talked about last week, they have a crazy good resume. So even if they lose to Michigan and a couple other dominoes fall, they can still get in.
Okay,
Pretty
so
unscathed. But I don't think Michigan has the same kind of leeway.
Michigan at 67%, Florida State at 65, Ohio State 64, which is kind of crazy that Michigan and Ohio State are so high, and then it really kind of falls off. So then it's Georgia at 52%, fucking Alabama at 41, Oregon 39, Texas 37, Washington 33, and then Oklahoma and Louisville both at 1%.
Interesting.
Which it's kind of crazy to me that Oklahoma would be on this list because they have 2 losses. They're the only 2-loss team on this list.
Yeah, the precedent for a 2-loss conference champion team to get in is pretty crazy.
But I mean, I guess if you beat Texas twice, I mean, and you're the Big 12 champ, I guess.
Man, I mean, you'd have to have a lot of dominoes fall.
Yes, yeah, you really
like
would.
For example, like Oregon State beating Washington this week would have to happen, and then they'd have to
beat Oregon in the ACC or the Pac-12 championship game probably.
But then I'd imagine a 2-loss Washington gets the nod over a 2-loss Oklahoma, and same thing for Alabama or
no, it would be a 1-loss Washington because if Washington would beat Oregon to take them out.
That's right.
But if they jump up, I mean, I agree with you that beating Oregon twice in one season is bigger than beating Texas twice, especially because the Pac-12 is the best conference in college football right now. So I see what you're saying, but there certainly, I guess, is a path for it. But yeah, you're right. There would have to be a lot of shit to happen for that to happen.
Crazy. Yeah,
interesting.
I guess there's still. I've seen a couple of TikTokers who will do like, this team is officially eliminated from the college football playoff, and I guess just having an outside shot is pretty crazy there. But boy, what a day! I feel like I had something else college football related to talk about. I can't quite remember what. Trev Alberts, I had that in my notes. Very relieved to see that. So shout out him. Maybe I have it in my bookmarks, I think. I got nothing. Well, perfect. Springs, that's all that I had here for this week. A disappointing Husker game for sure, but I think we'll get back right into it here this week. I mean, the fact of the matter is both of these games are very winnable. So if we can just squeak one out somehow, some way. I guess let me ask you this. Would you rather beat Wisconsin or would you rather beat Iowa? Wisconsin with that long drought against Iowa, of course, are the worst people on earth.
I would love to get rid of that drought, but I think I guess you're not really ruining anything at that point because they're just going to go get the shit kicked out of them in the Big Ten championship game. And I don't even think if they lose to us, because if they beat Illinois and they beat us, then they're in. Or no, I guess if they just beat – oh, shit. I'm confused. I'm confusing myself. If we win this weekend and next weekend,
Iowa would also
have to lose
this week.
Okay. Yeah. So there's – I don't know. That's a tough question, actually. What do you think?
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I lean Iowa pretty heavily. Even if we're not spoiling anything, it would mean that we get a bowl game, and then it means that we continue our winning streak against them, which I hope never ends under any circumstances. Where I feel like and it's crazy because at the beginning of our Big Ten journey, I probably would have taken Wisconsin. I had hoped that would turn into like a more natural, organic rival, but it hasn't worked out that way. But I would feel very excited about a Wisconsin win, but I think I would feel very devastated with an Iowa loss.
Yeah, I feel the same. I mean, it's at this point, it's like, oh, you kind of expect to lose, unfortunately, to Wisconsin, but beating Iowa is always sweet. So I agree.
Yeah. Well, perfect. That's all I had. Anything else you'd like to add here, Mr. Sprinkle?
I just want to apologize for the all over the place nature of this podcast, but go Big Red.
It's chaotic. That's how we are. Go Big Red.